All right, let's dive into something pretty wild today. We're going to look at everything happening in our world through a totally different lens. It's an idea that kind of flips the script, where all the chaos we see is actually part of a curriculum. And the crises, well, they're the final exam.
So, I just want you to think about this for a sec. What if all of this intensity, the division, the crazy fast changes we're all feeling, what if it wasn't just random chaos, but instead it was all part of a carefully designed planetary scale graduation test? Like a final exam for Earth itself and for every single one of us on it? Look, I know it's a radical idea, but stick with me. To really get this exam, we first have to understand the school.
Okay, so what kind of school are we talking about here? The whole idea is that Earth isn't just a rock floating in space. It's a school for souls. And just like any school you've ever been to, it's got different grade levels. And in this way of looking at things, those grade levels are called densities. Now, don't think of a density as a physical place you go to. It's more like a level of consciousness, a specific vibe or frequency. Each one has its own curriculum, its own set of lessons for us to learn and grow through. So this whole journey of consciousness, it starts out super simple. In first density, the only lesson is just to be. Think about the consciousness of a rock or a mountain, that deep, timeless awareness. Then you get to second density, and consciousness learns to grow and move. That's the life force in a plant reaching for the sun, or the raw instinct of an animal. And that brings us right here, third density, our grade level. And the main course, the big final project for our entire human experience, is learning to master one thing: choice.
And this is where it gets really interesting. The theory goes that our time here, in the third grade, is coming to an end. This whole 75,000-year cycle, it's closing out. That means school's out. Earth itself is scheduled to graduate, and that's kicking off a massive planet-wide event. So what does graduating even feel like? Well, it's a huge upgrade in how we perceive everything. Right now, our reality is pretty much built on the idea of separation. It's me versus you, us versus them. Time feels like this straight, unchangeable line. But fourth density, that's all about an awareness of love and unity. The fundamental shift is seeing self as other. The walls between us start to dissolve. Time gets more fluid, more bendable. It's not so much about changing where we are, but profoundly changing how we see.
Now, this whole thing doesn't just happen with the flip of a switch. It's a process, a transition period sometimes called the harvest. And if you look at this timeline, well, we are right in the thick of it. This period from roughly 2012 to 2025 is all about the acceleration of awakening and polarization. Sound familiar? This is the pressure cooker moment, the time when everyone is being pushed to make their choice.
But here's the thing, graduating isn't automatic. It's not a participation trophy. It requires a conscious, clear choice. Because in this cosmic school, there are basically two majors you can declare, and they lead down two very, very different paths.
Okay, so path number one is service to others. The core belief here is unity, the idea that I am you, you are me. So helping you is, in the end, helping myself. Power comes from empowering others. Then you have the other path, service to self. This is the path of separation, where power is gained through control and having power over others. Now, it's really important to get this. In this framework, neither path is judged as good or evil. They're just seen as two different, totally valid ways for consciousness to learn. The only real requirement is that you have to choose one and really commit to it.
So what does it actually take to graduate on this path of unity, of service to others? You just have to tip the scales. It's not about being perfect. It's about a simple majority. If just over half, 51%, of your thoughts, your actions, your intentions are for the benefit of others, you've made your choice. You're good to go.
But now look at the requirement for the other path. To graduate through service to self, you have to be 95% committed to control and your own self-interest. Whoa, this is not for dabblers. It takes an intense, almost total dedication to the idea of separation and domination. It's a much, much tougher path to walk.
So, with all that in mind, what happens to everybody? Well, based on the current polarization of humanity, the sources behind this material project an outcome that looks something like this. You've got a small group, maybe 5%, who hit that intense 95% mark and graduate to a negative fourth density. Then there's a larger group, about 24%, who cross that 51% threshold for a positive fourth density. And the rest, the majority, they just haven't decided yet. They're still on the fence. And they don't fail, that's not the right word. They simply aren't ready. They'll get another chance to take the third grade on another planet with more time to figure out their choice.
Okay, I know that might sound a little intense, but the good news is this whole framework doesn't just leave us hanging. There are tons of tools and practices, they're sometimes called bridge technologies, designed to help us make that conscious choice and, raise our vibration to match where the planet is heading.
For our minds and our energy, we've got practices that focus on frequency and getting your heart in the driver's seat. Things like meditation focused right on the heart center, listening to specific frequencies like 528 hertz, the love frequency, or just immersing yourself in the vibrations of a sound bath or the deep quiet of a forest. The whole point is to shift your center of gravity from your head down into your heart.
And this isn't just some mental game, right? It's something you feel in your body. So you've got practices like yoga, ecstatic dance, or really powerful breath work that can help release those old, dense third density patterns that get stored in our bodies. Even something as simple as walking barefoot on the grass, grounding, is a super powerful way to sync up with the Earth's own rising frequency. And this is so important. Since that positive path is all about unity, a lot of the most powerful tools involve connecting with others. We're talking about simple but profound things, like just holding eye contact with someone, practicing conscious communication, doing random acts of kindness, or sharing what's truly in your heart in a safe circle. These are all practical ways to build that muscle of connection and actually live that 51%. And this right here is the key takeaway for this whole section. I mean, looking at these big lists can feel a bit overwhelming, but that is not the point at all. The point is to find one bridge, one practice that just feels right to you, something that resonates, and then just commit to it. The goal isn't to become a master of everything. It's to practice that one thing until a heart-centered, unified way of being becomes your new normal, your default setting. Which brings us right to the end of our explainer, and really to the heart of this entire idea. All this cosmic theory, all these timelines and densities, it all boils down to one single, deeply personal thing. Look, you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be some enlightened saint to graduate to a positive fourth density. You just have to be a little more tilted towards love than fear, a little more we than me. The only thing that really matters is making that choice consciously instead of just running on autopilot. So, according to this framework, this massive planetary shift isn't something that's just happening to us. It's happening through us. Every single thought, every interaction, every small decision you make is you casting a vote for the kind of reality you want to experience. The pressure is on. The final exam is here. So, what will you choose?